Something posted by me on February 2nd, 2022. Something I would like to see more than anything else in the world. The executive director of the 9/11 Commission, Philip Zelikow, on the stand, under oath, with the idea that he will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law, taking questions on what he did during the 9/11 Commission. The entire 9/11 Commission would be completely disqualified. It would bring vindication to those of us that have been asking for the murder of 2,977 plus people to be properly investigated as it always should have been. What are some of the questions you would ask him? Why did you bring Abraham D. Sofer and Laurie Milroy to testify about Iraq in order to help establish a non-existent link between Iraq and 9/11? The only people that would have benefited were the Bush administration, who were trying to go to war with Iraq. Why? Why did you and Ernest May write a complete outline of the final report before the investigation even began, to the dismay of many on the 9/11 Commission, and even tried to keep it a secret? When the 9/11 Commission staff proposed referring NORAD and the FAA to the Department of Justice for a criminal investigation, why did you sit on that proposal for months? A similar proposal will then be submitted to the very last meeting of the 9/11 Commissioners, who decide to refer the matter not to the Justice Department, but to the Inspectors General of the Pentagon and FAA. Instead of holding them accountable, they could only recommend it. Why was this decision made? Did you ever meet and or develop a relationship with Prince Bandar during your time at the Aspen Strategy Group? Did you meet Prince Bandar at any time prior to the 9/11 Commission? Why weren't the multitude of military exercises that were taking place in the days prior to 9/11 and on the day of 9/11 fully investigated? Exercises which caused obvious confusion on the ground. Why did you block half of the interview requests for Saudi investigators? At 1:47 p.m. on 9/11 aboard Air Force One, why, when a reporter asked Ari Fleischer if the president had received any warnings, was his response, quote, "No warnings," end quote? Why wasn't subpoena power used, with 3 exceptions, something the families fought for the 9/11 Commission to have, and instead used document requests, something that could be and were ignored? Why weren't whistleblowers called to testify even though the families were promised that each and every one of them would be heard? Why, when people lied under oath, weren't they held accountable? Why were no recommendations made that they be referred to the Department of Justice for a criminal investigation? Why wasn't Prince Bandar questioned about his financial ties to 9/11, according to his Memoranda for the Record, or MFR? Why was the August 6th PDB the only PDB the 9/11 Commission gave public attention to when there were 39 other al-Qaeda-related PDBs the president received prior to 9/11, some of which were supposedly worse than that one? Why did you rewrite the 9/11 report to be more favorable of Condoleezza Rice, someone you had a past relationship with? Why did you and Dieter Snell take part in a, quote, late-night editing session, end quote, to delete passages of the 9/11 report having to do with Saudi support for the hijackers? Why were government minders allowed to accompany witnesses before the 9/11 Commission, knowing they were in fact intimidating witnesses, answering questions for witnesses, and reporting to superiors answers given which could have resulted in retribution for witnesses? Why was there a need to have an advertising campaign to embarrass the 9/11 Commission into having people held under oath? Why did the 9/11 Commission heavily rely on testimony given by Khalid Sheikh Mohammed that was received by torturing him? Why was the NSA barely investigated by the 9/11 Commission, even though its mandate was to give a, quote, full and complete accounting, end quote, of the attacks? Why did the 9/11 report state that a combat air patrol, or CAP, was put over the skies of Manhattan at 9:25, when in fact the planes didn't arrive until between 10:09 and 10:10 a.m.? Why did the 9/11 report state that none of the black boxes were found at the World Trade Center, even though there is information that suggests they were indeed found? Even though the families wanted the exact opposite to happen, why was Bush and Cheney permitted to testify behind closed doors together, not under oath, with no recordings or transcripts allowed? Why did the 9/11 Commission conclude there was a, quote, failure of imagination within the government concerning what happened on 9/11, even though multiple agencies thought of and planned for that very scenario? Why did you block Dana Leeseman from gaining access to the 28 or 29 redacted pages from the Joint Congressional Inquiry into 9/11, forcing her to go through a, quote, back channel, end quote, to see them? Why did you fire her for trying to do her job? Why did the 9/11 Commission only answer 30% of the 9/11 family's well-researched questions, even though they both required and deserved for them to be? Did you take direction from Karl Rove, the Deputy White House Chief of Staff? Because of how instrumental you were in making the 9/11 Commission corrupt and compromised, why didn't you resign when the 9/11 families asked you to? Because of the allegations of a wire transfer in the amount of $100,000 to Mohammed Atta from Ahmed Omar Saeed Sheikh under the orders of Lieutenant General Mahmoud Ahmed, why weren't Lieutenant General Mahmoud Ahmed or Ahmed Omar Saeed Sheikh brought forward to testify before the 9/11 Commission? Why weren't any of the individuals that met with Lieutenant General Mahmoud Ahmed in the months and weeks prior to 9/11, on the day of 9/11, and on the days that followed 9/11 in Washington, D.C., questioned about those meetings? Why wasn't the history of the United States' involvement in the creation of the Mujahideen al-Qaeda and the use of, quote, terrorists as proxies in other countries before and after 9/11 addressed by the 9/11 Commission? I'm sure the lawyers and the 9/11 family members have more questions to ask than I do. I sincerely hope one day they are given the opportunity to do so.